Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Did you know that men and women process emotions differently in their brains? Studies show that men's brains are wired to compartmentalize, while women's brains tend to integrate emotion with logic. This isn't just a fun fact, it's a game changer in understanding how we think, communicate, and even solve problems. Stick with me. You'll want to hear how this could totally change your relationships and your work life. So let's talk about masculine and feminine thinking. No, I'm not talking about whether you like sports or shoes, though that's part of it. I'm talking about two fundamentally different ways our brains approach the world. Masculine thinking tends to be more goal-oriented and logical, while feminine thinking is often more intuitive and relational. Knowing how these two styles work can completely transform the way we connect with each other. All right, let's dive into the real issue here. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone only to feel completely misunderstood? You explain something, but the other person just doesn't get it. You're coming from two different places. And it's not because one of you is just difficult, it's because you're probably speaking from two different thinking styles. Picture this. You're discussing a problem at work with a colleague, and you offer a straightforward solution. You know it's practical, you know it'll work, and then your colleague starts talking about how people will feel or what the team dynamic will be. You're thinking, what does that have to do with anything? We need a solution, not a therapy session. And here's the kicker. Your colleague may feel the exact same way, thinking, why is this person so cold and robotic? We need to consider the human element. This disconnect happens all the time. And it's not just at work. This plays out in relationships, friendships, and even in the way we understand social issues. Masculine thinking tends to focus on efficiency, results, and structure, while feminine thinking focuses more on emotional intelligence, connection, and the context of the situation. That's why people often clash when trying to solve problems together. They're approaching it from different angles. So is this just a stereotype, or is there science behind it? Well, as it turns out, there is quite a bit of research that suggests men and women process information differently. But it's not as simple as men are logical and women are emotional. One of the key differences comes from how our brains are wired. Research neuroscientists Luann Brizendine, author of The Female Brain, explains that women's brains are structured to process emotions and communication more intensely than men's. Women typically have more connections between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, which means they can blend logical thinking with emotional context. It's like being able to read between the lines and hear the unsaid stuff in a conversation. Very handy in relationships, less so in a high-pressure business meeting. On the flip side, studies suggest that men's brains tend to be more compartmentalized. This allows them to focus deeply on one thing at a time, which can be an advantage when solving problems that require pure logic or analytical thinking. But it can also mean they sometimes miss the subtleties, the feelings, the nonverbal cues that women might pick up on. And hey, it's not that one approach is superior to the other, it's just different. There's no right or wrong here, but when we fail to acknowledge these differences, misunderstandings arise. A lot of the frustrations we feel in relationships or at work can be chalked up to these mental frameworks not aligning. Now here's the fun part. What if I told you that these differences could actually improve your life if you know how to use them? That's right. If you understand how masculine and feminine thinking styles play out, you can start to see how they can complement each other rather than clash. Take, for example, collaboration in the workplace. Imagine a project where one person focuses on the big picture goals, the timelines, and the practical aspects. Hello, masculine thinking. Meanwhile, another team member brings in empathy, reading the room, and adjusting the approach to better fit the needs of the team. That's your feminine thinking. Instead of seeing these differences as a source of tension, you could see them as strengths that balance each other out. Or in relationships, you might notice that your partner has a completely different approach to conflict resolution. They want to talk things out and understand your feelings, while you just want to fix things and move on. Here's the catch. Both of you have valid points. You might feel better by solving the problem quickly, but your partner might feel dismissed if their emotions aren't acknowledged. Understanding that the process matters as much as the outcome could change how you approach conflict forever. The key moment? Recognizing that masculine and feminine thinking styles are two sides of the same coin. They don't have to be in competition. They can amplify each other if you know how to navigate them. So, what have we learned today? Masculine thinking is more focused on logic, structure, and results. Feminine thinking is more about empathy, emotional intelligence, and context. Both have their strengths and both have their challenges. Understanding these differences isn't just interesting, it's practical. It can help you improve your relationships, communications, and problem-solving skills. All right, I want to hear from you. How have you noticed these differences playing out in your life? Drop a comment below, and maybe your insight can help someone else. Remember, there's no right or wrong when it comes to masculine and feminine thinking. Once you understand how these two styles operate, you'll begin to see how they can actually complement each other rather than create conflict. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.